What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another episode of Player Ratings as we beat Nottingham Forest 2-0 at the City Ground yesterday in a hard-fought victory once again. And let's get into the player ratings, and let's start with Hugo Lloris. Pretty much cut and paste and repeat. Sixes all round from us. Only one shot on target yesterday, which he dealt with quite well. But apart from that, he was fairly untested once again.
It was quite interesting, actually. In the first half, I was looking into some of the statistics, and he was playing a long ball a lot more often in the first half, and in the second half he was trying to go more direct. So I wonder, in the second half, he played all but 3 of his passes short. So I wonder if it was a direction from Conte to tell him to play a bit short, because maybe going direct to Kane wasn't the best option. It forced us to lose possession too much. But in terms of his personal performance, he didn't really have much to do. So from corners and stuff, he was okay. But other than that, it didn't have too much work to do.
Yeah, I did notice that actually a few times from the stands, him just pushing up the players and telling them to get up the pitch. But yeah, more times than not, it did come back the other way. But let's move on to the defence now. Let's start off with Davinson Sanchez. 8 all round from us, and a really good display from Davinson. I felt a lot of the times the balls that were coming into the box were getting headed away and intercepted by Davinson. Really, really strong display defensively. He was trying to play out the back a few times as well, which calmness on the ball as opposed to the last couple of times that we have seen him play. So these are the performances that we like to see from Davinson, and that's 9 hours now, no goals conceded with Davinson in the back line.
Yeah, and I thought he was imperious again. I thought he defended really strongly. I thought he was a lot calmer on the ball this time round than he was in previous games, although he still had his moments. And I think it was a very encouraging display from Davinson. And I can't complain about how he steps in, because our defence doesn't seem to be too affected by it from a defensive standpoint. But in terms of build-up and stuff, although he did a lot better in this game, still missed that how Romero does it when he plays out the back. But very, very good from Davinson.
Let's move on to the central centre-back now, and Eric Dier. 7s all round from us. I thought he defended really well for the most part. I think his balls playing out the back, I think his short ones and keeping things ticking over were good, but I think when he was asked to maybe spread the play and go longer, I think he was found wanting a little bit. But in terms of a purely defensive capabilities, defensively on show, I thought he did fairly well, and his aerial ability was there as well.
Yeah, but there was just one moment which was exactly the same
poor pass
as
out the back. Yeah.
Sorry?
That poor pass out the back.
No, there was
that as well.
Yeah, there was that. But there was a moment where he again went to press very hard up the pitch and got out-muscled by Brennan Johnson, and the ball rolls free and sets Nottingham Forest on a counter-attack. Luckily enough, nothing happened. Very similar to the moment against Wolves, where he got out-muscled by Jimenez, and it set Wolves up on an attack, and they nearly scored. It's happened twice in 2 games now. He's got to be very careful. Like with Romero, it's kind of like when he steps in like that, he either wipes him out or he wins the ball. What you can't allow is for a player to roll you, and because then you're screwed. They're on the run and you're out of position. So it's twice in 2 games he's done it near the halfway line when we're playing quite a high line, and it's nearly cost us. So other than that, he was okay. Didn't have too much issue, but he's got to watch for those moments.
And obviously that one moment that I was talking about before, when he did a really dodgy pass out the back and it went straight to a Forest player in our own box. Lucky to get away with that a bit.
Yeah, to Johnson. That's right, to Johnson. And luckily the pass had a bit of power on it, so it kind of went back to Lloris.
Very lucky there. Let's move on to the last of the back 3, Ben Davies. 7s all round, and I thought he put in a fairly strong display yesterday at the City Ground. Yes, most of the chances did come down his and Perisic's side, but I think he stood up to the pressure mostly throughout the game, and I felt like his aerial ability was really strong. He won quite a few headers yesterday. I would like to see him come a bit forward a bit more and really take it to them in terms of going forward, but as a defensive display, I thought it was really good.
Yeah, had a lot of work to do on that left-hand side with Perisic there, and Forest attacking down that side quite a lot, and I think he did okay. Had quite a few clearances in the box, which was vital when talking about Forest coming forward. And I think all in all was a decent display again from Ben Davies, who we say that most weeks now under Conte.
Absolutely. Let's move on to the right wing back, Emerson Royal. 6s all round. I think we've given the same rating every single player so far, but Emerson Royal, right wing back, I think defensively really on point. Nothing got past him for pretty much the whole day. I thought hardly anything came down his side throughout, and there were some sloppy moments in there in terms of his passing ability and stuff like that, but going forward there was just nothing there. He just didn't get forward, which was quite surprising to me. And I thought that if you're playing as a wing back in a Conte system, you just need to get forward. You need to get up and down that pitch, and I don't think he did that.
Yeah, it's a bit of an odd one. Emerson's problem isn't usually getting forward. It's what he does when he does get forward. But this time round, it was a bit of a different situation. So I don't know whether it was instruction or he just wasn't able to because of how Forest were playing. Maybe he was paying back too much. I think he stood up to the challenge when Forest had the ball, and I think not much came down his side, to be fair to him. But going forward the other way, not many times he was able to link up with Kulusevski or anything and get crossed in the box. There was one time in the first half he was got into the byline, but his cross was behind all the attackers. Not terrible, but nothing special from Emerson.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the central midfield now, as in Rodrigo Bentancur. 7s all round from us. And I thought it was a strong display from Rodrigo. I mean, he was sitting in front of that back four. I mean, he was fairly deep throughout the game. He was picking up the ball and starting attacks. I mean, not everyone, but a majority of our attacks all started with Rodrigo Bentancur and his combative display and just quickly moving it on in the middle of the park there. And there were a few surges forward from him as well, which I like to see. I mean, he brought in some really good energy to that middle of the park. But on the other side, there were a few of those sloppy moments that we've been accustomed to seeing from Rodrigo Bentancur as well. But all in all, I thought it was a really good display.
Yeah, I think it was pretty accomplished. I think off the ball, he usually did his work to a high standard, as he usually does. I thought he was getting some really good blocks on the edge of the area and good pressure. On the ball, he was keeping it simple, keeping it just short passes, short 5-10 yard passes to the midfielders or the wing backs, allowing us to progress up the pitch. Was a bit overrun in the midfield at times, but overall I think he did a pretty good job.
And let's move on to his partner in Pierre-Emile Hojbjerg. 8s all round from Arsenal. Really good display. Passing ability, strong in the tackle as always. He wasn't letting the Forest midfielders have a moment's rest, buzzing around like a bee. And also he was getting forward really well. He was the midfielder really taking on the mantle to play those through balls, play those over the top balls, really play some important balls going forward and driving the team forward at times. And that's what we're missing from midfield, and that's exactly what he brought yesterday. Yeah,
my man of the match. I thought he was fantastic on both ends of the pitch. I think he set us up on a number of attacks with the number of through balls and passes in behind, notably to Harry Kane, who was set through one-on-one, and Ryan Sessegnon for the second goal. And I think all game he was causing trouble with his passing, and then going back the other way, he was putting his body on the line. He was made a number of vital interceptions which really stopped Forest in their tracks. And I thought he was an all-action display from Hojbjerg, and I think he played really, really well. And it still amazes me how he still gets the disrespect from a lot of our fans.
All right, let's move on to Ivan Perisic. 7s all round from us. It wasn't as strong as the last game from Perisic, but I still felt he got up the pitch well, was causing their right back quite a few problems, getting crosses in the box. I mean, I have yet to see a poor cross from him. I think every single cross he's put in a Spurs shirt has been completely on the money, and yesterday was completely no different. He was asked to do a lot more defensive work yesterday than he has done in the past, and I think for the most part he did stand up to the challenge fairly well, but most of their joy did come down his side.
Yeah, I think he did well when he found himself in the attacking situations. There was a couple of moments in the second half where he had a volley at the back post which he blazed over. He had a cross which was pinpoint to the back post, which obviously Kane was about to nod home if it wasn't for a handball from Cook. And he was giving some trouble, but I think there was Conte was about to bring Sessegnon on even earlier than he did, until we decided to wait 10 minutes and then bring him on. I think it was because he was struggling a bit defensively down this side. Nico Williams was getting a lot of joy, and I think Forest in general were getting in behind him a few times not making the most of it, but then obviously Nico Williams very nearly scoring just after the penalty. So I think that was moments he struggled, but when he did go forward, he was definitely very threatening, and he still played really well. So, and I think as well, defensively, as much as they got down his side individually, in terms of when he was defending 1v1, he was still doing pretty well with a lot of tackles and stuff. So, pretty solid display in the end from Perisic.
Let's move on to Dejan Kulusevski. 8s all round from us, and I thought a really good display from him once again. I thought he was our attacker that looked the most dangerous going forward, and that proved to be the case when he played a lovely ball into Harry Kane for the assist. I mean, it really was between two defenders, pinpoint straight to Harry Kane, and obviously Harry did what Harry does. But apart from that, I think that he was causing Forest no ends of problems, cutting in on his left. A lot of the times, his cross or his shot was blocked. On another day, you could be talking about, a few goals in there for Kulusevski, but he was at his he was always trying to isolate that defender one-on-one, and he was always trying to get in behind and really cause problems to the Nottingham Forest defence. So a really good display from Kulu.
Yeah, he was a massive threat, and especially in the second half. First half, he got that assist, and then he fell a bit quiet, but like a bit similar to the rest of the team. But second half, he came alive. He was moved a lot further up the pitch, and he was attacking the Forest wing back very, very often, and he was picking up positions which were difficult for them to track. He was cutting inside, and they were finding it hard to stop him. The only thing letting him down was, I guess, his final product and him himself, when he's usually so reliable with his left foot. His shots were either being blocked or his crosses were slightly overhit and things like that, which would probably disappoint him. But when it comes to being a threat to a fullback, his dribbling and his strength, it was really hard to deal with, and I thought it was a really solid second half display from Kulusevski, and he was a massive danger.
And let's move on to Heung-Min Son. Sim gives him a 6. I gave him a 5. Unfortunately, not the performance from Sonny that we have been accustomed to seeing over the past couple of seasons. I feel like you can visibly see it on the pitch that he is lacking from a bit of confidence at the moment. I'm not sure why or what has happened, but ball seems to be bouncing off him when he does get in the right positions, and well, he is quite consistently getting in the right positions and having shots on goal, but it's not real with the same conviction as what he did have. I mean, he seems to be taking too much time on the ball, taking heavy touches, taking too many touches, and ultimately it goes back to the other team. I mean, I would say he did improve again in the second half, but still not maybe the Sonny that we're used to seeing.
Yeah, I thought his passing was actually pretty decent in this one.
There was one lovely one.
Yeah, there was one out wide to Kulusevski, which really set us up on attack in the second half. He had a nice shot from 25 yards in the first half, which just flashed wide. He obviously had that chance in the second half, played through, I believe, by Kulusevski, and he had a chance on his left foot to bury the shot off Henderson, but past Henderson, but could only hit it straight at him. But other than that, didn't have too many other shots on goal. I think second half he was a lot more threatening, and he was involved in a lot of our good play. But first half was a bit anonymous. Had a few chances to get behind Forest and failed to do so. And he just seems to be struggling within his own game right now. I don't think he's horrific. I don't think he's like being absolutely terrible, but it's not the most sharpest on-form Sonny that we know. So definitely something for him to improve on. But I don't think he was terrible in the second half. I thought it was improved a lot.
And the last of the starting 11 in Harry Kane. 8 all round from us. Obviously, it was an eventful day for Harry Kane, scoring 2 goals, missing a penalty as well. Could have had a hat-trick on another day, and you probably put your house on him scoring a penalty at this stage after not missing one for 5 years or something crazy like that. But I thought it was a really good display from Harry. He was the one really being that central figure to spearheading that Tottenham attack, always in the right place at the right time, as you saw for both of those goals. The lovely finish for the first one. First of all, we had such a nice angle on it, and we could just see it curling right into the bottom corner, which was a fantastic finish. The second goal is the right place at the right time with a brilliant assist from Richarlison, and Harry's there to nod it into the back post. And obviously he kind of on the header, but it was in the mix when we did win that penalty. The ball was coming to him at the back post, and then the Nottingham Forest player just puts his arm up, and the penalty's given. Should have been a sending off, not sure why it wasn't. But in terms of Harry Kane, I mean, he's that man that is really putting the balls in the back of the net for us, and that's what Harry Kane does.
Yeah, 4 goals in 4. Is this his best ever start to a season?
Probably, yeah.
I think he's ever got this many goals at this stage. I thought his general play was brilliant. Obviously, he got a goal after 4 minutes, and it was a really good finish on the stretch, outside the box. Really accurate finish right into the corner. And I think his hold-up play in general was so good. I think Steve Cook really struggled with him. Every time Kane got the ball, they tried to press him, but they couldn't win the ball off him, and he was able to hold him off and then turn and set Spurs on attacks, and he was causing a lot of problems for Nottingham Forest, especially when he was able to get on the turn. Second half, he was getting in a few more scoring positions. I think he took the most shots out of any of our 6 shots, with 4 on target, I think, throughout the game. Obviously, the penalty wasn't his best, and it was a good save from Henderson. He'll be disappointed with that. Made up for it later in the game, though. His very good movement to get away from the Forest defenders, although I'm not sure what they're doing, leaving him completely free at the back post. And he's there to head home, and I think another brace, played really well. He's got to be happy with his start to the season, how he's playing at the moment. 4 goals in 4.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's go on to the substitutes, and let's go to Richarlison. 7s all round from us, and he always does this when he comes on. He just provides that extra energy that we're needing, and he really takes the game to the team. He picks up the ball and just drives, and that's what I absolutely love about him. His energy, his passion, his desire for the game is there for all to see. And obviously there are those moments that some people don't like to see, in terms of his shithousery. There were a couple of times where he went down from challenges, and he was down for ages and trying to buy free kicks and stuff like that. But the main talking point, well, first of all, the assist was absolutely brilliant, outside of the foot, straight on the money onto Harry Kane's head. But the moment that everyone's talking about is when he was juggling the ball on the side of the pitch with 5 minutes to go, 2-0 up. Nottingham Forest manager wasn't happy. A lot of pundits weren't happy, and I don't really care, to be honest. I think I love to see stuff like that, and especially when he's on your team. I mean, I get the point when he's not on your team. When stuff like that happens, when it's not on your team, you start to hate it a bit. But I think when it's on your team, I think you really start to appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. And I thought he again made a very strong impact. Should have scored. I think it was played through by Hojbjerg late in the game, and he cut inside and has a shot that should have hit the far post, but good save in the end by Henderson, which obviously led to Jed Spence having a chance. And then he just adds that energy that sometimes in the latter stages of games, sometimes going forward, the forward players lack that a bit, and he has it in abundance, and he's such a nuisance to play against. And obviously he brings that shithousery, he brings that level of kind of just the opposition players absolutely hate playing against him. I'm so sure of it, and opposition fans absolutely hate also seeing him on the opposite side of the pitch. So I think he's been a very good acquisition so far. I think every time he comes on, he's making an impact. The whole dribbling keepy uppies, I'm not too bothered about it. I would say I do think it was disrespectful the way he did it, but as a Tottenham fan, if he wants to disrespect Forest, I'm really not that bothered. If he's going to wind them up and earn them yellow cards and fouls, and so be it. But as a neutral, I think you can probably see that as being a disrespectful act, just doing kick-ups under no pressure. But I'm all for it, and I thought it was a brilliant cameo yet again, and I think he's in line for some starts soon.
Agreed. And last but not least, for the playing staff, Ryan Sessegnon, who came on same time as Richarlison, 6s all round from us. He came on with a bit more energy. I mean, Perisic was kind of tiring before he went off, and Sessegnon did come on with a bit more energy, was getting up and down that left-hand side really well, and he was getting in some really good positions, but I felt like his end product let him down a bit on the day.
Yeah, there's only one position I remember. That's the one where just before the goal, and he had so much time to pick Harry Kane out. If he had real quality about him, he would have gone a bit earlier and found Kane in space. He waited and waited and waited for the perfect moment. It never came. When he did decide to pass it, defense was already set, and you saw Kane was visibly furious at it when it happened. Luckily for Sessegnon, literally 5 seconds later, Richarlison's crossing it to Kane, and we're getting a goal. But other than that, he helped shore it up at the back line. I think he took off Perisic because he was just a bit too exposed there, and Sessegnon helped with that fact. But he'll be disappointed he didn't get an assist.
And last but not least, Antonio Conte, 7s all round from us. Conte needs to figure out this situation, why we keep starting games too slowly, why we're not good enough in that first half. But credit to him, he does seem to change things and get us really fit, firing and playing and dominant in those second halves. But I'm just unsure what the situation is, why we're so sluggish and start so slow to start games, and why we don't look as good in the first half as we are in the second half. But I guess we got to take it that we're happier that that's happening in the first half and not the second half, because if it was the other way around, we could be in a different situation now. But with the team not playing as well as maybe they could, to be with 10 points after 4 games, sitting in the top 4 as well after 4 games, you got to say well done to Antonio.
Yeah, and I think we're doing a very good job. I think he's, in terms of team integrating the signings and stuff, I think he's starting to do it more and more, and I think it's paying off for him. Obviously, Perisic has already taken Sessegnon's place, and I think he's starting to play really well as well. And I think as much as the performances aren't the best in the world, I still think we're doing fairly well. I think the wins we're getting are deserved. I don't think we're winning undeservedly. I think we're managing games fairly well, in a sense that we're tactically have problems in the first half, then we managed to improve and change it in the second half and gain control back, and that's very impressive from Conte. And I think our defensive structure is strong enough in a way that even when we don't have control, we're not conceding high quality chances.
That's the best thing for me. It's just like for a team, if you look on social media and listen to the Spurs fans talking, you would think that we'd be losing 3-4-0 every game, literally. But for us not to be playing well, not only not to be playing well, but not conceding many shots on target, out XGing every opponent we play, the amount of chances that we're creating as well. Just imagine what we're going to be like when we tick.
Exactly. So that's what I'm clinging on to. And I think as well, even though when we concede a lot of shots, they're not high quality chances, even though maybe we could get forward a bit more than we do, which we can, whenever we do go forward, we look like scoring. So that's very, very positive for me. He's got to obviously work on making us better and more complete for the whole 90 minutes. But in the Premier League, you're always going to have different challenges. Different teams are going to pose different challenges, and sometimes they're going to be on top and they're going to have control, and you have to manage those situations. And I think we're doing that very, very well at the moment. And I think in the second half, there was only one team that was going to win it, and that was Spurs. And I think we deserved the 3 points in the end, the 2-0 victory, another clean sheet, 10 points from 12. So I'm very happy with him.
Happy days as we move on to West Ham on Wednesday night. But thank you everyone for joining for the player ratings today. Let me know your player ratings in the comment section below. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.